John Ennis, you're standing as the Conservative Party candidate in the election for the Stray, Woodlands and Hookstone division, and that's a seat that's sort of become unexpectedly available, hasn't it? Really, since Pat Marsh resigned. Why are you standing in this election this time round?
Well, Tim, you're right, it has come up unexpectedly, and I don't really want to say any more about those circumstances. The reason I'm standing is I think I've got the experience to be able to contribute something locally. I was the councillor before, including for this very area, between 2010 and 2022, so I think I know the area, I know the issues. I know how to make the council work for Stray, Woodlands and Hookstone. So I'm keen to serve, really.
And just sort of turning the clock back, just so people can understand a bit about you as a person. What's your background? What's your history and things? I know you live, in the division.
Sure, yeah, I do actually. I live not very far from where we're filming now, and I've lived here for 30 years. So. Right in the heart of the division. My background, I'm not from Harrogate, but I've lived here for 30 years. I came here for my job with my family, and we settled, and I worked in the health sector. I'm largely retired now, in fact almost entirely retired, so that comes back to why I'm standing. I've got the time now to devote to the work of being a councillor, which actually can be quite time consuming. I don't think it's something to be done on a sort of as and when part-time basis, really.
And I happen to live in the division as well, so I've had your literature through the door, and one of the things it says is that it shouldn't be about politics, it should be about more doing things for the people. Do you explain a bit more what that really means?
Sure. Well, it shouldn't be political, and I think anyone who knows me would know that I've not made it political in the past, and I've no intention of doing that in the future. I mean, the things that affect people's lives are very day-to-day things. For example, recently I've been talking to people a lot about potholes, and it's good that I've been able to pass on some good news there, because there's been a significant fund of money identified to go into the budget for next year to deal with the really bad state of the roads in your area, Tim, the Saints and the Waysides. And so I'm hopeful that within the next 12 months, that not only will the potholes there have been filled, but there'll be a proper resurfacing, which is, well, I think we both know is long overdue.
And in the area, I suppose, like any area in Harrogate, there's always the hot topics, isn't there? I suppose parking is one. The sort of the amount of cut-through traffic. There's also sort of some planning applications. What do you sort of see as? Are there any kind of hot topics that need attention in the division?
Well, you're right to refer to parking. That's a perennial issue, and from my previous time representing the Saints area, I know just how fraught that can be. And it's no joke when the parking is such that people can't get emergency vehicles through, or people can't get out of their house. So I'm proposing to discuss with the council, if I'm elected, whether we could have a neighbourhood parking scheme there, which would balance the needs of those who work in the hospital and the schools with the local people, because we're all in this together. We need to find compromise solutions which work for everyone. So that's a hot issue, but it's been a hot issue for a while. Another one is the poor state of bus services, particularly in the Hookstone end of this division. I've got some plans there to work with the incoming bus contractor. There's the operator. There's a change of operator which is going to be taking place, which maybe not everybody is yet aware of, but I think that's a really good opportunity. I have some contacts in the bus industry, so I'm going to be working with the new operator to see if we can get an improved service down Hookstone Chase in particular.
Is that a different operator then to Transdev, just to understand a bit more what that means? Because I've not heard that one myself.
Right. Yeah. Yes, I believe it is. I believe so. I'm not quite sure of the circumstances of the maybe it's just the end of a normal contract and a re-tendering, but it's definitely an opportunity.
And the other thing is in the division, we appoint a councillor to represent the division, but to represent us on the area committee, which is the sort of forum of the other councillors in the area, which also in turn represents Harrogate, I suppose, doesn't it, with the council. So in a way, there's sort of a number of hats, isn't there, that a councillor kind of carries. Are there particular kind of Harrogate-wide issues or concerns that are of particular interest to you?
Well, back to traffic, we come back to that so often, don't we? Because it's a problem in Harrogate. There's been a long-held aspiration to have a park and ride system in Harrogate, and that's obviously a whole community-wide matter. It's not just for this division, but it's a big project. I'd like to look again at that, because that would cut down traffic on some of the roads that are really difficult at the moment, like the Wetherby Road. I mean, there are real problems on Wetherby Road with safety for parents and children going to, for example, the Willow Tree School there, and there's no 20-mile-an-hour limit there. I'd like to look into what the scope is for having a 20-mile-an-hour limit, and other improvements in that immediate area to make it safer for everyone.
And I think the Willow Tree, they campaigned at one time, didn't they, for another crossing, because there is a crossing kind of further down towards the town centre. But I think they were looking for another crossing, which was, if I remember right, was knocked back, I think, wasn't it, by the council at the time.
There's been a history of difficulties there. I don't know if you can picture it, but you've got traffic converging from two lanes into one as they come down from Woodlands, and there is a crossing, but it's not in the best place for the Willow Tree School. There's also the question of what's known as a lollipop person there, and that post has been vacant, I'm told, for quite a while now, so that makes things more difficult. But certainly just the basic matter of crossing the road, and remember that an awful lot of the people at Willow Tree School come from the Saints area, so that definitely needs attention.
And I think there does seem to be, I think I'd be remiss to not ask you about your views on the Harrogate Station Gateway project. And I think this one has gone, if you like, round the block, and I think from what I see with the public's attention on it, I think they're just thoroughly confused really with it, whether they should support it, oppose it, and possibly what it means for the town. But I think one of the facts is it was an opportunity, or it is still an opportunity of a huge spend on the town that I think is going through to the next stage. I think the combined authority is in the process of approving the full spend. What's your take on the Gateway project?
Well, Tim, it's been a long-running one, hasn't it? It was running 2 years ago when I was still a councillor. I think there have been faults with this project in that the communication of it hasn't been what it might have been. I think that's improved recently. There's also been a certain amount of, I would have to say, I'm afraid, cynical position taking by some of my opponents who, whilst in principle supporting cycling and improving facilities for cyclists, have actually opposed those elements. I think we may have got now to a stage where we've got the best out of the gateway. We'll have improvements to paving, we'll have cycle stands at the station, we'll have a cycle lane, we'll have a bus lane, things like that, whilst not having to go the full pedestrianisation of James Street. So we'll be bringing the money into the town and using it on things which I think by and large are sensible, but there'll need to be more consultation as we work through the detail of that. I think just one thing to add: people don't necessarily always understand that the money comes from government, and much as we might like to spend it on filling in potholes, unfortunately we can't. Because that money comes out, is it the Transforming Cities Fund? Is that, yes,
if I remember right? And it's come from the West Yorkshire Combined Authority, where I think it's possibly confusing now. We've got a York and North Yorkshire Combined Authority coming in, which would be, someone that would then take those projects or similar projects forward, wasn't it? So we've got a change really in
Yes.
structure governance, I guess.
We'll have this combined authority, and we'll have a mayor. On the 3rd of May we'll know who that is, that position will be quite a powerful one, and it'll have funding which isn't there at the moment. So I think it's a great opportunity for Harrogate to get some long-term improvements in infrastructure, including transport. So I'm positive about that.
So just then to finish off with,
Sure.
and this is a question, as I think I said earlier, was frowned upon by journalists, but what else should I have asked you in this interview?
Will you ask me about the circumstances of the by-election coming up? And to be fair, you asked me about that, and I just wanted, and I answered. I just wanted to emphasise that I do feel it's time to move on from all of that, and if elected, I'm certainly someone who intends to operate in a non-partisan way, working with political opponents and for the good of the town.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you, Tim.